What is a shamanic journey? Simply put, a shamanic journey is a form of meditation that is done to rhythm. Usually the rhythm is done by using a drum or by some rattles sometimes or other instruments that are capable of keeping a consistent, steady beat. The purpose for that is that the rhythm that is used, usually 160 to 240 beats per minute, puts the brain into a theta state. And the theta state is a lot like a light trance. Now, whenever you are in a light trance, what that means is that you have been able to let go of that thinking, calculating mind to some extent, and put yourself in a place where you are more open to inspiration, more open to imagination, so that you can have a different kind of interaction with what's going on inside. Now that's important because what we need to do in order to connect with spirit is to be able to do just that, to set aside our ordinary way of thinking and looking at things and be open to hearing what spirit might have to share with us. So the shamanic journey is a process by which we can shift out of our ordinary way of thinking and shift into a more open and accepting way of communicating with our own inner wisdom. The process itself is actually pretty simple. Usually it's done by either lying down comfortably on the floor or by sitting. Either way works. It doesn't really matter. I prefer lying down myself so I can really relax my body. And that's important because as long as you are having to fuss with your body, it makes it more difficult to stay in that light trance state, even with the rhythm going. So I usually like to lie down, but you can sit. Either way, it works just fine. So as you're lying on the floor and you have a source of rhythm, maybe a CD or tape, or perhaps even you have your own drum, which is challenging, but it's possible. You simply listen to the rhythm and you allow yourself to relax as best you can. Now, you can go through a process of relaxation, or you may be able to simply lie down and breathe and let the rhythm itself help your body to let go of some of the tension that it's holding. One thing that you'll notice as you go along is that no matter how relaxed you think you are, you can always relax a little more. One of my favorite ways to do that is to think about getting softer and perhaps even melting into the floor. So that's my own particular way of going deeper into relaxation. And you probably have your own. But in the beginning, it's simply a matter of relaxing your body, listening to the rhythm, and then usually using your imagination to connect you in some way to a scenario or a context that allows for that interaction with spirit to begin. There are a number of different ways that is done. For some traditions, you might go through a hole in the ground and go into the lower world. Other traditions, you might climb a tree or climb a rope into the upper world. And sometimes if you're going into what's called a middle world journey, you might simply imagine yourself being in a place that you have either been before or you have a strong draw to go to. So you can use your imagination in any number of ways to create a context or an environment within which you can have an interaction with spirit. Most of the time, these interactions may happen through connections with animal guides or animal spirits, sometimes human teachers or human guides. Some other kinds of beings can be encountered for a variety of different kinds, including trees and rocks and crystals and those sorts of things. All of them can be guides for you. So one suggestion in doing any journey is to simply allow it to be what it is. So using your imagination to create a scenario You put yourself in that place as fully and completely as you can, and then you might explore around a little bit, or you might simply call for someone to join you. You might call for a guide to come and join you. You may have a question or something of interest that you're wanting to explore. But whenever a guide does show up, go ahead and express it to that guide and let them lead you and show you what you need to see or to know or to hear in order to have that question answered or to get the kind of guidance that you're looking for. So once that begins, what you notice after a while is that it's not just you anymore. It's not just you and your imagination, but it's you, your imagination, and something else. And that something else is inspiration. And inspiration comes from spirit. I think of spirit as that which is bigger than I am, but you may have your own definition of spirit. That's fine. Whatever it is an inspiration. It is an inspired experience. So don't be too disturbed if it feels like you're making it all up. That's very common. But the reality is that you're not making it all up. You may be working with your imagination in cooperation with inspiration. It's kind of like a dance in that way. So you and inspiration are working together to create a story. Now, the intellectual part of you is still present. It will still be there. What needs to happen with that is that it needs to become a witness. It needs to participate in what's going on as a witness, as a curious witness, but not as a controller. So if your mind is involved, and it probably will be, see if you can shift it to being curious about what's going on rather than judging what's going on, and see if that might help you. Now, the shamanic journey, its purpose is to communicate with spirit, however you view that, for guidance and insights and assistance. It helps you to connect with your own inner wisdom as well. So sometimes the guidance doesn't come from somewhere out there, it comes from somewhere in here, and that's perfectly fine. It doesn't matter where the inspiration comes from. What does matter is that you are willing to let it happen and to be guided by that. In the long run, the shamanic journey is about building relationships. Building relationships with spirit teachers and guides and sometimes the healers that work with you. Think of it like this. The journey is like an introduction to a group of potential friends. Some of these beings that you meet will become friends over time. Some of them may even become best friends. And so don't worry too much in the beginning about how successful that you're being. That doesn't really matter in the long run. It's about building relationships, and it's about learning how you journey, because everybody journeys differently. Everybody journeys differently, and your journey will not be able to be compared to anyone else's. So the more you journey, the more you learn about others and also about how you journey, and that's significant. Sometimes, too, the journey will involve ancestors, grandparents, great-grandparents, and so on. Sometimes ancestors from deep in your history. When that kind of thing happens, it's very exciting because you have an opportunity to communicate with them and to find out more about who they are or were, and also learn from them any messages that they may have that may be relevant to your life today. So when ancestors show up, do take some time to visit. Build relationships with them as well, and you may find that you have some pretty powerful guides among your ancestors. Sometimes people ask, how long should I journey? What is the best amount of time for a journey? And the answer, of course, is it depends. Well, we know from experience and from studies in other similar types of activities, it seems that about 15 minutes is the optimal time for a journey. Now, some people journey longer, 30 minutes or an hour or more. It depends in part on what you're looking for. If you're looking for an answer to a very specific question, it may not take very long. But if you're looking for insights or if you're looking for information about a larger subject, then it may take longer. So you might have to adjust your expectations about how long a particular journey might be depending on what you're asking. If you're listening to a CD or you're listening to the drums being played by someone else, there will come a time near the end when the callback will be played. The callback is a very specific rhythm that signals you that the time for the journey is about at an end. So when you begin to hear the callback, always take time to thank the beings that you met along the way. Having gratitude, saying thank you, and honoring the beings that you meet is a very important part of the journey because it helps in building relationships. Honoring and gratitude are also important parts of shamanic practice in general. So when the callback happens, you can begin to release the journey. You can begin to let it go and return to your body and to the room where you were journeying from. But also remember to say thank you. People also sometimes ask, how often should I journey? My suggestion is that you journey at least once a week. That way, you don't lose the thread. If you wait too long, then it's possible that you can lose the energy of the journey and lose connection in the relationships that you're building. On the other hand, if you journey too much, you might find that it becomes tedious and difficult because you have so much energy building up that it becomes less fresh. Now, on the other hand, if you are working on something that's rather difficult, you may find the necessity to journey several times on the same subject. For example, there have been times in my history where I've been asking a question, and when I come back from the journey, I have a different question. And so then I'll take a break, get a little rest, and then I'll go back into a journey and use that question as the intention for the second journey, and sometimes the third. So the number of times that you journey really depends on what it is that you're looking for. We covered a lot of ground in this video. We've talked a lot about the shamanic journey, some of its structure, some of the intentions, a little bit of the timing, and those sorts of things. The next video, we will talk a little bit more, but more specifically about preparation, so that you will know more about how to prepare for your own journey. And then you get a chance to take one. So, we'll see you soon.